Some bosses are legendary, others are terrifying. And then there's Leechmonger, a writhing mound of goo you probably forgot existed until just now. We're breaking down every boss in the Soulsborne series of games and ranking them based on gameplay, lore, music, and overall experience. It might not have the fanfare of Flamelurker or the spectacle of Tower Knight, but does Leechmonger bring anything to the table besides disease and disappointment? Leechmonger is a boss that feels more like a speed bump than a true test of your skills. Found in the Valley of Defilement's Swamp of Sorrow, this creature is essentially a giant mass of writhing leeches. The gameplay boils down to a DPS race rather than a nuanced battle of strategy and reflexes. Leechmonger has a handful of predictable moves, a horizontal swing, a vertical slam, a leech projectile that causes plague buildup, and the most notable feature, its healing ability. If you let it rest for too long, Leechmonger regenerates health quickly by drawing leeches into its body. This healing mechanic adds a timer-like pressure to the encounter. Its melee attacks are easily dodged or blocked, and it lacks the mobility to close gaps quickly. Most of its moves are telegraphed with a wide windup, giving players time to reposition or heal. Leechmonger's arena is a narrow circular pit made of rotting wood platforms and sludge. It feels like the developers meant for players to walk around the room to eventually meet with Leechmonger at the end, all while dodging its ranged attacks. In reality though, most people usually end up bypassing this by dropping down and taking a bit of fall damage, getting to him quickly, or utilizing ranged attacks while keeping behind terrain to not be hit by flying leeches. The arena's small size limits mobility, but Leechmonger's slow, predictable attacks and lack of movement means most players can find rhythm without too much trouble. Leechmonger is a creature born of corruption, an amalgamation of leeches and filth, held together by an invisible will. Its presence in the Valley of Defilement reflects the rot that has been allowed to fester in the forgotten places of Boletaria. While not much is directly stated about Leechmonger, the implication is that it is not a creature with a soul of its own, but rather a byproduct of the degradation of the valley. It exists purely to consume and spread disease, serving as a literal manifestation of unchecked decay. Its soul, the wriggling demon's soul, can be used to craft the Poison Cloud spell, further tying it to the themes of rot, disease, and pestilence. Leechmonger is often cited as one of the weaker and more forgettable bosses in Demon Souls. While its grotesque design earns some praise, the fight itself rarely leaves a lasting impression. Veterans of the Soul series frequently mention Leechmonger in discussions of easy or underwhelming bosses. Its healing mechanic is often seen as more annoying than interesting, and the boss's lack of aggression or phase changes make it feel more of a mid-level enemy than a true boss encounter. Still, some players appreciate its alignment with the Valley of Defilement's atmosphere and its function as a thematic checkpoint for the area. The music for Leechmonger is appropriately grim and moody. It lacks the grand orchestration or haunting melodies of some of the more iconic tracks in the game, but it fits the atmosphere of the Valley of Defilement perfectly. The composition is more ambient than melodic, relying on droning tones and subtle, almost pulsing rhythms to reinforce the grotesque and decaying nature of the boss. Unlike the bombastic scores of Tower Knight or Penetrator, Leechmonger's theme is subdued and claustrophobic, less of a battle theme and more of a reflection of slow, inescapable corruption. It blends into the ambient horror of the swamp rather than standing out on its own, which might be a design choice to emphasize despair over confrontation. For some, it might feel forgettable, but others might appreciate the way it deepens the immersion into one of the most oppressive areas in the game. So let's talk strategies. First, fire is your friend. Leechmonger is extremely vulnerable to fire-based damage. Weapons buffed with Turpentine or Black Turpentine will quickly chew through its health bar. Pyromancy spells like Fireball or Firestorm are also very effective. Melee players should stay aggressive to prevent the boss from healing. Two-handed attacks can stagger it slightly, and if you're using fast weapons like katanas or curved swords, you can deal sustained damage without giving it time to regenerate. For ranged players, there's a well-known exploit. By standing on the entrance ledge, you can fire arrows or spells down into the boss arena. With the right angle, Leechmonger won't retaliate, making it one of the most easily cheesed bosses in the game. Magic users can also dominate the fight using Soul Arrow or Flame Toss. With enough intelligence and MP regeneration, the boss can be dispatched before it gets a chance to heal or retaliate effectively. I will also be Captain Obvious here and mention that Leechmonger is completely immune to status effects like Poison, Plague, and Bleed. That means tactics like Poison Cloud or using the Baby's Nail won't be effective in this encounter. That's just to focus on raw damage and be aggressive. So where does all of this leave Leechmonger on our tier list? While it fits the environment well and has a strong visual theme, the gameplay lacks depth, tension, or variety. It doesn't offer the emotional storytelling of Maiden Astraea, the mechanical challenge of Flame Lurker, or the spectacle of Tower Knight. It's a boss that exists to be beaten, not to be remembered. For that reason, we're keeping Leechmonger firmly in the C tier, right next to Phalanx. Not terrible, but far from great. It's a checkpoint, a gatekeeper for what lies beyond in the valley, but not a boss that defines the experience of Demon Souls. What do you think? Does Leechmonger deserve its spot in C tier, or is there something underrated about it that we missed? Let us know in the comments, and if you're enjoying this series, don't forget to like and subscribe as we continue ranking every boss in Soulsborne. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.